I gave my daughter a villa, but her husband's family moved in one line, made them pack and leave. My name is Hilda, 58 years old. After my husband passed away, I built a successful real estate business in Seattle from nothing. When my only daughter Amanda got married, I gifted her a beautiful villa to start her new life. I never imagined her husband Jordan would move his entire family in the very next week. They took over completely, treating my sweet Amanda like a servant in her own home. But they underestimated how far this protective mother would go to make things right. Let me know where you are watching from and hit like and subscribe if you have ever had to deal with disrespectful in-laws. Trust me, you will not want to miss how I finally got them to pack up and leave with just one perfectly timed statement. Life has a way of testing your strength when you least expect it. After losing my husband William to heart disease 15 years ago, I found myself alone with our 12-year-old daughter Amanda and a mountain of medical bills. William had been a loving husband and father, but insurance only covered so much of his lengthy hospital stays. I had been working as a realtor part-time while raising Amanda, but suddenly needed to support us both. Those first years were brutal. I often worked 70-hour weeks, showing properties networking at events I could barely afford to attend, and studying market trends late into the night after Amanda went to bed. There were countless nights I would come home exhausted to find Amanda had made dinner for us both, simple things like pasta or sandwiches, because she knew how tired I was. It broke my heart that she had to grow up so fast. "Mum, I understand," she would say whenever I missed a school event. "We need to pay the bills." Even at that young age, she was empathetic and mature beyond her years. By the time Amanda was in high school, my hard work had started to pay off. I had built a reputation as one of the most knowledgeable realtors in Seattle, specializing in luxury properties. I saved everything I could and eventually took the biggest risk of my life, starting my own real estate development company. It was terrifying, but I reminded myself I had already survived losing the love of my life. I could survive this too. The company flourished, growing from just me to a team of 15 dedicated professionals. We renovated historic properties, developed small luxury communities, and eventually expanded into commercial real estate. Success came at a price, though. Amanda and I remained close, but I know she felt my absence during important moments of her childhood. Amanda grew into a beautiful, kind-hearted young woman. She inherited William's warm brown eyes, and my determination, though hers, manifested differently. While I channeled mine into business, Amanda poured hers into caring for others. She majored in elementary education at Washington State University and became a dedicated second-grade teacher at a school in one of Seattle's more challenging neighborhoods. "These kids need someone who believes in them," she would tell me, when I asked why she didn't apply to more prestigious private schools that would pay better. That was my Amanda, always thinking of others first. It was at a mutual friend's birthday party that Amanda, then 30, met Jordan Thompson. She called me the very next day, unusually excited. "Mum, I met someone last night. He's in marketing, so smart and funny, and we talked for hours." Over the next few weeks, all our conversations inevitably turned to Jordan. He sent flowers to her classroom, left sweet notes on her car, and took her to impressive restaurants. When I finally met him at a dinner Amanda arranged, I could see why she was smitten. Jordan was tall, conventionally handsome, with an easy charm and quick wit. He seemed attentive to Amanda, laughing at her jokes and asking thoughtful questions about her day. Something about him made me slightly uneasy, though I couldn't put my finger on it. Perhaps it was how he ordered the most expensive wine on the menu while Amanda reached for the check, or how his stories about his marketing clients seemed vague when I asked specific questions. But Amanda was happier than I had seen her in years, and I didn't want to dampen her joy with unfounded concerns. Their relationship progressed rapidly. Within 8 months, Jordan proposed with a ring that seemed modest, given his tales of marketing success. Amanda didn't mind. She had never been materialistic. As the wedding approached, I wanted to give Amanda something meaningful, something that would provide security and show her how proud I was of the woman she had become. I had recently completed a Mediterranean-style villa development in an exclusive neighborhood. One home in particular, a four-bedroom beauty with a pool and garden, had been my personal favorite. Worth approximately $1.2 million, it represented the culmination of my years of hard work. The day I gave Amanda the keys 3 weeks before her wedding, she broke down in tears. "Mom, I can't accept this. It's too much," she whispered, the keys clutched in her trembling hands. "Amanda, everything I have built has been for you," I told her, holding her close. "This home is my gift to you and Jordan to start your life together. It's security for your future." What I didn't say was that it was also my way of making up for the dance recitals. Missed the parent-teacher conferences attended by babysitters and the lonely dinners she ate while I closed deals. The villa represented everything I had sacrificed time with her to build. The wedding was beautiful. Amanda, radiant, in a simple lace gown, Jordan handsome, and seemingly overcome with emotion as they exchanged vows. I watched them dance their first dance as husband and wife, praying that Amanda had found the kind of love William and I had shared. If only I had known what was coming, I might have held on to those keys just a little longer. The trouble began subtly, like most disasters do. Amanda and Jordan returned from their 2-week honeymoon in Hawaii, tanned and seemingly happy. I visited their villa the day after they got back, bringing housewarming gifts, fine wine, plush towels, and a set of crystal glasses that had belonged to my mother. "These are beautiful, Mum," Amanda said, carefully unwrapping the crystal. "Well, save these for special occasions." Jordan seemed distracted throughout my visit, constantly checking his phone and stepping outside for calls. I attributed it to work catching up with him after the honeymoon. Amanda showed me their wedding photos on her laptop, pointing out special moments and laughing about small mishaps. Yet I noticed a tension in her shoulders that hadn't been there before. During dinner, Jordan made an odd comment that should have been my first real warning. "Families should stick together, don't you think, Hilda?" he said, while refilling his wineglass for the third time. "That's what marriage is all about, joining families." I nodded politely, assuming he was making conversation. "Yes, though it also means creating your own family unit." He smiled in a way that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Exactly. One big, happy family." A week later, Amanda called me sounding stressed. "Mum, we have some temporary guests staying with us. Jordan's parents are visiting for the weekend." "That's nice, honey. First family visit to your new home." "Yeah, nice," she said, her voice trailing off. The following Sunday, I dropped by with some fresh pastries, expecting to find Amanda and Jordan waving goodbye to his parents. Instead, I found Frank and Dorothy Thompson very much settled in the living room suitcases still in the guest bedroom. Frank Thompson was a burly man with a permanent scowl and a booming voice that seemed to fill every room. Recently retired from managing a factory, he carried himself with the authority of someone used to giving orders rather than taking them. "Hilda's here," he announced unnecessarily when I entered. "The woman who gave away $1 million house, never seen anything like it in my life." Dorothy, a thin woman with nervous hands and a perpetual look of mild dissatisfaction, offered me a tight smile. "It's very generous, though the master bathroom could use updating." I blinked, surprised by the critique of a gift. "I think it's quite modern as is." "Mum designed the whole development," Amanda said quickly. "The bathrooms are all premium fixtures." "Well, premium is subjective, isn't it?" Dorothy replied with a dismissive wave. Over coffee, it became clear the Thompsons' weekend visit had no definite end date. Frank talked about getting settled, and Dorothy mentioned looking forward to exploring the neighborhood properly. The situation deteriorated rapidly from there. The following week, Jordan's younger brother Travis arrived with his girlfriend Melody. Both were allegedly between jobs and needed a place to stay just until something comes through. Travis was essentially a younger, less polished version of Jordan, handsome, but with a perpetual look of entitlement. Melody barely spoke, constantly glued to her phone, and leaving her dishes wherever she finished eating. By the third week, Jordan's sister Pamela appeared with her two children, an 8-year-old boy and 6-year-old girl, who seemed to have no concept of indoor voices or respecting other people's property. Pamela, a single mother with a martyred air, immediately commandeered the guest room with the attached bathroom, displacing Travis and Melody to the fourth bedroom that Amanda had set up as a home office. When I called Amanda to check in, she sounded exhausted. "Jordan's family is going through a tough time, Mum. His parents sold their house because of some financial issues. Travis got laid off, and Pamela is having trouble with her ex not paying child support. And they all decided to move in with you at the same time?" I asked, unable to keep the suspicion from my voice. "It's just temporary," Amanda insisted, though her voice wavered. "Jordan says family takes care of family." "Amanda, this is your home. You and Jordan are just starting your marriage. Having his entire family move in is a lot to handle." "I know, but what can I do? They're my family now, too." I drove over the next day and was appalled by what I found. Amanda was in the kitchen preparing meals for everyone, while the rest of the family lounged around the villa. The children were jumping on furniture that had cost thousands, their sticky fingers smearing the custom windows Id had installed. Most shocking of all, Frank and Dorothy had somehow claimed the master bedroom, relegating Amanda and Jordan to one of the guest rooms. "They have joint pain and need the larger shower and tub," Amanda explained weakly when I questioned her privately. "It's just more comfortable for them." Every time I tried to speak with Amanda alone, someone interrupted with demands. Dorothy needed help finding the good kitchen knives. Frank wanted Amanda to explain the cable channels again. The children needed snacks, cut into specific shapes. When I finally cornered Jordan in the garden, his response left me cold. "Hilda, I appreciate your concern, but this is how families work. We support each other through tough times. My parents helped me throughout my life, and now it's my turn to help them. By giving them your bedroom, by having Amanda wait on everyone hand and foot." Jordan's charming smile hardened slightly. "Amanda doesn't mind. She loves taking care of people. Isn't that what you always say? Besides, this is our home now, and we decide how to run it." The emphasis on "our" made his message clear. I was an outsider now. As I drove home that evening, I couldn't shake the feeling that something calculated was happening, that this wasn't just a family in need, but something more predatory. Over the next 2 weeks, Amanda visibly deteriorated. Always naturally slim, she now looked gaunt. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and her usual animated teaching stories gave way to short, tired responses when we spoke on the phone. The villa was showing signs of abuse as well. When I visited again, I noticed stains on the custom silk sofa, scratches on the hardwood floors I'd personally selected, and chips in the imported tile around the pool. A crystal vase, part of a set I'd given Amanda as a housewarming gift, had been broken and glued back together poorly. No one in Jordan's family made any effort to contribute financially or help with chores. Frank spent his days watching sports at maximum volume, criticizing everything from Amanda's cooking to the landscaping. "The lawn service you hired is overpriced," he informed me when I mentioned the garden was looking neglected. "I told Amanda to cancel it. The boy can mow it." The boy, presumably being Jordan, who I rarely saw lifting a finger. Dorothy constantly complained about trivial things: the water pressure, the brand of coffee Amanda bought, the way the housekeeper that I still paid for folded the towels. Yet she never offered to clean anything herself, leaving cups and plates throughout the house for Amanda to collect. Travis treated the villa like a bachelor pad, inviting friends over for impromptu parties when Amanda was at work. Melody spent most days lounging by the pool, posting photos on social media, with captions about living my best life in a luxury villa. Pamela's children ran wild, drawing on walls, jumping on furniture in muddy shoes, and once even attempting to redesign an antique side table with markers and stickers. The situation reached a breaking point when Amanda was called into her principal's office because she had been falling asleep during class preparation. She loved her teaching job, but was now staying up until midnight cleaning after everyone and waking at dawn to prepare breakfasts before school. The property manager from the Homeowners Association called about noise complaints from neighbors. Apparently, Travis had hosted a particularly loud gathering on a Tuesday night that went until 3 in the morning. When I arrived unannounced the following weekend, I walked into a scene that made my blood boil. Amanda was scrubbing the kitchen floor on her hands and knees, while Frank stood over her complaining that she had missed a spot. Dorothy sat at the island flipping through a luxury bath fixture catalogue, circling items and making a list. "This kitchen really needs updating too," she said without greeting me. "The countertops are just not practical." "There's nothing wrong with these countertops," I said sharply. "They're high-end quartz that I personally selected less than a year ago." Frank snorted. "Well, if that's high-end, I'd hate to see what you consider basic. But I guess that's Amanda's family money talking, always thinking throwing cash at something makes it quality." That was it. "Amanda is on her hands and knees cleaning up after all of you. Show some respect." Jordan walked in at that moment, fresh from a shower, looking unconcerned about his wife scrubbing the floor. "What's going on?" "Your father is being disrespectful about this home, and about Amanda's hard work." Jordan put his arm around his father's shoulders. "I'm sure Dad didn't mean anything by it. He's just got high standards. We need to respect that, right, Amanda?" Amanda looked up, a strand of hair stuck to her damp forehead, and said nothing. Later, when I tried to speak with her privately, she begged me not to make things worse. "It's temporary, Mum. They're having financial difficulties. Once they get back on their feet, things will go back to normal." But my suspicions were growing. I had built my business by being observant and trusting my instincts about people. Something wasn't adding up about the Thompson family's sudden collective hardship. I hired a discreet investigator, something I'd occasionally done when vetting potential business partners. What he discovered confirmed my worst fears. Jordan had been between contracts in his marketing career for nearly a year before meeting Amanda. His impressive client stories were largely fabricated. More disturbing, Frank and Dorothy had sold their modest home 3 months before the wedding, not recently as Amanda had been told. The timing suggested premeditation, not coincidence. Travis had been fired from his last 3 jobs for attendance issues, not laid off due to company downsizing. Pamela had a history of moving in with friends and relatives until they eventually asked her to leave. In short, the entire Thompson family had financial problems long before Jordan met Amanda. My suspicion that Jordan had targeted my daughter for her potential assets seemed increasingly likely. When I gently shared some of these findings with Amanda, she finally broke down. "I feel so trapped, Mum. This isn't what I thought marriage would be like, but I don't want to fail at this. I don't want to hurt Jordan." "What about how they're hurting you?" I asked softly. She looked away. "Jordan says it's just how families help each other." That evening, as I was leaving, I overheard Jordan and his father discussing renovation plans for the villa, extensive, expensive changes they had no intention of paying for themselves. Frank was talking about finally having a place worthy of the family, while Jordan nodded enthusiastically. I drove home that night with a heavy heart, realizing that the beautiful gift I had given my daughter was being systematically taken over by people who saw her only as a means to upgrade their lifestyle. The situation reached its breaking point 3 months after the wedding. Amanda called me at 11 p.m., sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "Can you come get me?" "Please, Mum." I was in my car within minutes. When I arrived at the villa, Amanda was sitting in her car in the driveway, unable to bring herself to go back inside. Her face was blotchy from crying, her hands shaking as she buckled her seatbelt in my car. Through broken sentences and fresh waves of tears, the story emerged. Amanda had prepared a special dinner to celebrate 3 months of marriage. She had left work early, bought expensive ingredients, and spent hours cooking Jordan's favorite meal. She had set the dining room table with candles and the crystal glasses from my mother. Instead of the romantic evening she had planned, Jordan had invited his entire family to join them. Frank had made a speech about finally having a nice place to live and joining the upper class. Dorothy had spent the entire meal talking about how the master bathroom needed remodeling to better suit her taste. But what broke Amanda completely was overhearing a conversation after dinner. She had gone to the kitchen to get dessert when she heard Jordan and his family in the living room. "You really scored big with this one bro," Travis had said. "Free house, rich mother-in-law, and a wife who does all the cooking and cleaning without complaining." "I told you she was perfect," Jordan replied. "Sweet, naive, and completely devoted. Plus her mother is wrapped around her finger. We could probably get her to buy us a vacation home next if we play our cards right." Frank had laughed. To the Thompson family upgrade. From factory manager to luxury living in one generation. Pamela had chimed in about enrolling her kids in the expensive private school nearby since, "We have the money now." Melody was already looking at new cars online that would match the aesthetic of the neighborhood. Amanda had confronted Jordan privately later that night, only to be gaslighted. "You're being paranoid and selfish," he told her. "My family needs support right now, and as my wife, it's your duty to help them. That's what marriage is." When Amanda pointed out that they were taking advantage, Jordan became cold. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't complain about helping my family. Or is your mother's materialism rubbing off on you?" "It's just stuff, Amanda. Family is what matters." The next day, the family had begun moving and rearranging furniture without asking. Amanda's teaching awards and family photos were relegated to the garage to make room for Frank's sports memorabilia collection. Her grandmother's antique desk, one of the few pieces she had from her father's side of the family, was moved to make space for Dorothy's sewing table. Amanda discovered Jordan had been using her credit cards without permission, racking up thousands in charges for electronics, golf clubs, and clothes for his family. As Amanda related all this sitting in my kitchen with a mug of tea growing cold between her trembling hands, I felt a cold fury, unlike anything I had experienced since William died. "The worst part is," she whispered, "I feel so stupid. How did I not see who they really were? Manipulative people are experts at hiding their true nature," I told her, squeezing her hand. "But now we know exactly who we're dealing with." Amanda stayed with me that night, sleeping in her old bedroom. In the morning, I called Susan Baker, my attorney of 15 years and close friend. She arrived within the hour, bringing the property documents for the villa. What Jordan and his family didn't know, what I hadn't emphasized to Amanda because I hadn't wanted to diminish the gift, was that I had maintained legal ownership of the villa, listing Amanda as beneficiary, but not transferring the deed. The property legally still belonged to my company as part of a trust. I had planned to transfer full ownership on their first anniversary once they were settled. Susan confirmed what I had hoped. We had complete legal authority to remove the Thompson family from the premises. "You have several options," Susan explained to Amanda. "We can file for a formal eviction, which takes time but establishes a legal record. We can change the locks and have them removed for trespassing if they attempt to return. Or we can confront them directly with security present, to ensure they leave peacefully. Amanda sat quietly for a long moment, then straightened her shoulders in a way that reminded me so much of myself at her age. "I want them gone," she said firmly. "All of them, including Jordan. I don't want a long, drawn-out process where they can damage more of the house or manipulate me further." Over the next day, we gathered evidence. Photos of the property damage financial records showing Jordan's unauthorized use of Amanda's credit cards and testimonials from neighbors about the disruption caused by Travis's parties. We hired a professional security team experienced in sensitive removals and a moving company that could pack and transport the Thompsons' belongings to a storage facility. The morning of the confrontation, Amanda was pale but resolute. "I'm scared," she admitted as we drove to the villa. "But I'm more scared of living like this for the rest of my life." When we arrived, most of the family was home, unusual for a weekday morning, but fortuitous for our purposes. Jordan and his parents were in the living room, Travis and Melody by the pool. Only Pamela was out with her children. Their expressions when we walked in with Susan and two security guards were almost comical, confusion quickly morphing into defensive anger. Jordan jumped to his feet. "Amanda, what the hell is this? Who are these people?" Frank moved to stand beside his son, drawing himself up to his full height. "This is our home. You can't bring strangers in here without our permission." Dorothy immediately began to tear up. "Amanda, dear, what's going on? We're family now. Whatever is wrong, we can talk about it." The villa was nearly unrecognizable. In just 3 months, the once pristine home had been transformed into something resembling a chaotic hotel with difficult long-term guests. Dirty dishes filled the sink. Laundry was piled on the once beautiful dining table, and there were mysterious stains on the carpet I had specially imported from Italy. Susan stepped forward professionally, briefcase in hand. "My name is Susan Baker. I represent Hilda Stevens and her company Stevens Real Estate Development." "We know who you are," Frank interrupted rudely. "You're the interfering mother-in-law's attack dog. Whatever she's put you up to, it won't work." Susan continued as if she hadn't heard him. "I'm here to inform you that this property legally belongs to Stevens Real Estate Development as part of a family trust. While it was gifted for use by Amanda Stevens, Thompson ownership was never transferred." She removed the property deed and trust documents from her briefcase, laying them on the coffee table. "As you can see, Ms. Stevens has every legal right to determine who may occupy this property." Jordan's face drained of color as he stared at the documents. "This is some kind of trick. Amanda, tell them this is our house. Your mother gave it to us." Amanda shook her head. "She gave it to me, Jordan, not to your entire family to take over and treat me like a servant." Frank's face turned an alarming shade of red. "Now you listen here. We are family and family sticks together. We've been nothing but loving and supportive." Dorothy dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "We just wanted to be close to you both, to be a proper family. Is that so wrong?" The security team began photographing the damage to the property while Melody scrambled to gather her things from beside the pool. Travis appeared in the doorway, clearly hungover and confused by the commotion. "What's going on? Who are these people?" Frank, seeing his carefully constructed plan collapsing, lost his composure entirely. "This is ridiculous. We deserve this house more than some spoiled teacher who never had to work for anything in her life. Do you know how hard I worked in that factory 30 years? And what do I have to show for it? Nothing. While people like you," he jabbed a finger at me, "get rich, flipping houses and then act superior." In that moment of unfiltered rage, Frank revealed their true intentions more clearly than any investigation could have. Jordan tried to shush his father, but it was too late. I stepped forward, my voice calm but firm, and delivered the one line that would change everything. This house was a gift of love for my daughter, not a free hotel for people who don't respect her. The simplicity of the statement seemed to cut through all their excuses and manipulations. Amanda straightened beside me, finding her voice at last. I welcomed you into my home, and you took over completely. You pushed me out of my own bedroom, damaged my things, disrespected my space, and worst of all, she turned to Jordan, her voice breaking slightly but still strong. You married me with the intention of using me for financial gain. You never loved me at all. Jordan's face twisted between anger and panic as he realized his plan was crumbling. He approached Amanda, switching tactics, his voice softening to the charming tone she had once fallen for. Baby, this is all a misunderstanding. Of course I love you. Let's talk about this privately, just you and me. No, Amanda said firmly. Anything you have to say can be said in front of everyone. There will be no more manipulation, no more gaslighting, no more private conversations where you twist everything to make me feel crazy. Frank tried a different approach, puffing up his chest and addressing Susan. We'll sue. We have tenant rights. You can't just throw us out with no notice. Susan smiled thinly. Actually, Mr. Thompson, you have established no tenancy here. You've paid no rent, signed no lease, and have no legal right to this property. Furthermore, she pulled out additional documents. We have evidence of unauthorized credit card use, property damage exceeding $20,000, and multiple noise complaints filed with the HOA. If anyone has grounds for legal action, it's Ms. Stevens. Dorothy's crocodile tears dried up instantly. This is all your fault, she hissed at Jordan. You said this was a sure thing. Melody was already heading for the door, her hastily packed bag in hand. I'm out. Call me when you have a new place, Travis. The security team continued their assessment, while we informed the Thompson family they had 24 hours to vacate the premises. A moving company would arrive the following morning to pack and transport their belongings to a storage facility paid for 1 month in advance. After that, Susan explained, you'll need to make your own arrangements. Where are we supposed to go? Dorothy wailed, turning on the waterworks again. We sold our house. We have nowhere to live. That was a choice you made months before the wedding, I replied calmly. A choice that suggests you planned this takeover from the beginning. Jordan made one last desperate attempt, asking to speak with Amanda alone. When she refused, he grabbed her arm. The security guards moved forward immediately, and Jordan backed away, hands raised. You're making a huge mistake, he told Amanda. No one will ever love you like I do. That's the first honest thing you've said, she replied. No one will ever love me the way you did, with calculation, manipulation, and self-interest disguised as affection. I'd rather be alone forever than spend another day being used. The security team stayed at the villa overnight to ensure compliance and prevent any potential damage or theft. The following day, the moving company arrived as promised. The Thompson family, now blaming each other for the failure of their scheme, supervised the packing of their belongings with bad grace. Travis and Pamela turned on Jordan, openly berating him for messing up a good thing. Frank alternated between threatening legal action and attempting to smuggle items that didn't belong to him into the moving boxes. Dorothy complained continuously about the movers' handling of her possessions, despite the professional care they took. As the last of their belongings were loaded into the truck, we had all locks changed, security codes reset, and a new alarm system installed. Jordan made one final pathetic attempt to salvage something from the wreckage of his scheme. I'm entitled to half of everything as her husband, he informed Susan as he was about to leave. Actually, Susan replied, handing him another document. You signed a prenuptial agreement before the wedding, if you recall. It specifically excludes all real estate holdings and family trust assets. Furthermore, it includes an infidelity and fraud clause, which your actions have clearly violated. You're entitled to nothing except what you brought into the marriage, which, according to our records, was personal items and approximately $8,000 in debt. Jordan's face contorted with rage, but with the security guards standing nearby, he could only slam the door as he finally left the property that had never truly been his. As the moving truck pulled away, Amanda sat on the steps of the villa and finally allowed herself to cry, not from sadness, but from relief and the release of months of built-up tension. "I can't believe it's over," she whispered. "I can't believe I let it get so far." I sat beside her and put my arm around her shoulders. "You didn't let anything happen. You were deceived by people who made manipulation their life's work. But when it counted most, you found your strength and stood up for yourself. I'm so proud of you." The aftermath of the Thompson family's departure was both a time of healing and discovery. The damage to the villa was extensive. Beyond the visible stains and scratches, we found hidden problems, like water damage in the guest bathroom, where someone had consistently let water overflow, cigarette burns concealed beneath rugs, and even mold growing in the master closet from wet towels left piled for weeks. Amanda moved back in with me temporarily, while we assessed the full extent of the situation. She alternated between grief, anger, embarrassment, and relief, sometimes cycling through all four emotions in a single day. "I feel so stupid, Mum," she confessed one evening as we sorted through the belongings the Thompsons had left behind. All the signs were there. Jordan never wanted to introduce me to his friends. He always had excuses about why we couldn't visit his apartment. The proposal came so quickly after he learned what you do for a living. "Manipulative people are experts at what they do," I reminded her. "And you see the best in everyone. That's not a weakness, Amanda. It's one of your most beautiful qualities." We filed for divorce immediately, with Susan handling everything. The process revealed additional financial deceptions. Jordan had opened credit cards in Amanda's name without her knowledge and had been siphoning money from their joint account into a separate one his family could access. Amanda threw herself into the divorce proceedings with the same determination she brought to her teaching. She documented everything, followed all legal advice, and refused to engage when Jordan attempted to contact her with alternating messages of remorse and blame. As the villa was repaired and renovated, Amanda's emotional healing progressed in parallel. Each fresh coat of paint seemed to represent another layer of pain being covered over. The replacement of damaged furniture symbolized her replacing destructive thought patterns with healthier ones. About 2 months after the confrontation, Amanda made a decision that surprised me. "I want to sell the villa, Mum," she said one evening. "I know it was your gift to me, and I'm so grateful, but I can't separate it from what happened there. Every room holds memories of being belittled and used." I understood completely. The villa was never the real gift, Amanda. It was just a structure. The real gift was wanting you to feel secure and loved. We can create that anywhere. We listed the property, and it sold within weeks, for even more than its original value thanks to the renovations. Amanda used her portion to purchase a charming townhouse closer to her school, smaller than the villa, but selected entirely by her, reflecting her own taste and needs rather than anyone else's expectations. During this time, Amanda also found a support group for women who had experienced similar relationship manipulation. To my surprise, she eventually began leading some sessions, using her teaching skills to help others recognize the warning signs she had missed. "If I can prevent even one person from going through what I did, then some good came from this experience," she told me. 6 months after the Thompson family exodus, Amanda was flourishing in her new home and had returned to teaching with renewed passion. Her students noticed the change, with one little boy asking, "Ms. Stevens, how come you're smiling all the time now?" Our mother-daughter relationship grew even stronger through this ordeal. We had always been close, but now there was a new dimension of mutual respect. I admired her resilience and courage, while she appreciated my support without control. We occasionally heard news of the Thompson family through mutual acquaintances. They had apparently tried their scheme again with another woman, but were quickly discovered thanks to their now documented history. Frank and Dorothy faced legal issues related to some fraudulent financial dealings that came to light during Amanda's divorce investigation. Travis had been evicted from 3 apartments in rapid succession. Amanda eventually began dating again cautiously and with much healthier boundaries. She had sessions with a therapist who specialized in recovery from manipulative relationships and developed a keen sense for sincerity versus performance. For my part, I learned the delicate balance between protecting my daughter and respecting her independence. I had always thought my role as a mother was to prevent pain in her life, but I came to understand that sometimes the most loving thing is to stand beside someone as they face difficulties, rather than trying to shield them completely. One evening, about a year after the whole ordeal began, Amanda invited me to dinner at her townhouse. The space was warm and inviting, filled with books, plants, and mementos from her teaching career. Most importantly, it radiated a sense of peace that the villa, for all its luxury, had never achieved during her brief marriage. As we shared a bottle of wine and a home-cooked meal, Amanda laughed at something I said. A full, uninhibited laugh I hadn't heard since before she met Jordan. The sound filled me with more joy than any business success ever could. "You know what I learned from all this, Mom," she said, refilling our glasses. "I learned that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary, and that standing up for your worth doesn't make you difficult, it makes you strong." I raised my glass to hers. To strength, to boundaries, and to recognizing true love from counterfeits. "And to mothers who come through when you need them most," she added with a soft smile. The greatest gift wasn't the villa. It was the moment Amanda realized her own worth couldn't be measured in square footage, but in the courage to stand up for herself. I learned that protecting someone doesn't mean fighting their battles, but making sure they have the strength and support to fight for themselves. Have you ever had to deal with manipulative family members or in-laws? How did you handle the situation? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life lessons learned the hard way. And remember, sometimes the most valuable thing we can give our loved ones isn't material possessions, but the confidence to know their true worth. Thank you for listening, and may you always have the strength to stand up for yourself when it matters most.